Did you watch the interview? What was your take? It was certainly a lot of bombshells in there and a lot of things that I think shocked a lot of us.
You know, I was at the DealBook Summit yesterday, and I have to give props to Andrew Ross Sorkin. I thought he brought the fire. I thought all of his questions were fair. And the question right now with Sam is, was this whole FTX fiasco calculated fraud or criminal negligence? And so, when Sam answers certain questions about the $8 billion in missing customer deposits, he is very much going for the, I did not knowingly commit fraud. I did not knowingly commingle funds. And it kind of, there are two types of people in the world. It's either you believe that Sam is a liar or you believe him and that he really didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, I think one of the other questions is, why is he still in the Bahamas if he didn't do anything wrong? And Andrew definitely pushed him on that as well. So coming up later today, the one witness in this Senate hearing that we've been talking about is, I want to make sure I say his name right, Rostin Benham from the CFTC. That's the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. What are you expecting to hear from his testimony?
The CFTC was very friendly with Sam Bankman-Fried, and it was also the agency that I think the crypto industry as a whole wanted to be kind of the regulator for crypto. And so, Chairman Benham has a little bit of egg on his face. We saw that the Senate Agriculture Committee, which has say over the CFTC, a lot of those politicians have accepted campaign donations from Sam Bankman-Fried. And so the question now is, will lawmakers try to distance themselves from the relationship that they had with Sam Bankman-Fried? And also, there is right now a bill in Congress that, at the Senate Agriculture Committee that was proposed by Senator Stabenow, that will basically decide whether or not the CFTC will get certain powers to regulate crypto spot markets. And a bigger question is, do you throw the baby out with the bathwater? Here you have a piece of legislation that Sam Bankman-Fried was very heavy-handed in terms of helping advise on. And now the question is just, how much of that still stands in light of what we now know about FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried?
Yeah, Tracy, I want to make sure I connect the dots for the viewers and the listeners. Senator Stabenow is a participant with this bill that would make the CFTC the regulator. But at the same time, she received, I think, upwards of $25,000, according to Alon's reporting, from Sam Bankman-Fried. Is there a conflict of interest here at all, do you believe? And in general, what's the outlook for this bill, considering we saw BlockFi declare bankruptcy, Sam Bankman-Fried's comments yesterday, and just the general outrage due to FTX?
One narrative that could be at play here is just that, this bill had not gone into effect yet. Kind of FTX collapse came before there was any real clear legislation. And so the CFTC will obviously lobby for itself. They want to have the power to basically regulate crypto. The SEC has its own agenda, and these two agencies have both been kind of battling it out. And, the CFTC, I think, will not cede to the SEC, and they're going to argue that, because of FTX's collapse, this legislation is more necessary than ever.
All right, Tracy, one last question. I think this is probably the thing a lot of people are listening for. I don't know about you. My head's spinning from that SBF interview. I'm still thinking about it. The real question, I think, is where does crypto go from here, especially in this last month of the year? We've seen a slight bounce this week, but what's your outlook going forward? Does Bitcoin stay above 17,000 or go back below?
Usually markets are really forward-looking, and when the cracks in the FTX empire first appeared, we saw a giant decline in the price of Bitcoin, which is the largest market cap cryptocurrency, from around $20,000 to as low as $15,000. And over the past week, it's kind of rebound up to 17,000. And so I think the market has really priced in the I think collateral damage of FTX's collapse. And unless there is new information that comes out in the coming weeks, I think, the BlockFi bankruptcy is probably already taken into account, and a lot of the damage has already been taken into account.